Coming up next, the Flintstones meet the Jetsons.
Uh-oh, I smell another cheap cartoon crossover
episode?
This video is brought to you by Crunchyroll.
Hey, you got your chocolate and my peanut butter.
Peanut butter on my chocolate.
Crossovers. They're everyone's favorite type of arranged marriage that is sure to alienate some subgroup of fans who have no knowledge or interest in one of the properties involved. The earliest animated crossovers could be found in the new Scooby-Doo movies, where Mystery Inc. teamed up with a different pop culture icon each week to solve a mystery, leading to a slew of other Hanna-Barbera collaborations. The real mystery is why have a show called Fred and Barney Meet the Thing, and then have it be repackaged reruns of separate shows where Fred and Barney never actually meet the thing! Ever since, crossovers have become accustomed to animation. But today we're looking at the outliers, the merges of media you may not know. Just be warned that not every entry on this list takes place within the medium. Hopefully, that condition will make this list a little more interesting, even if some things were never meant to cross over into our world. While other Nickelodeon productions have included nods to it in the past, SpongeBob has never had an official and traditional animated crossover. Steven Hillenburg was against the idea of doing them, likely because it would break the isolated fantasticality of its underwater setting. There was an exception to Hillenburg's standard, as the series technically had a crossover with the entertaining boy band propaganda known as Big Time Rush. In the Big Time Beach Party special, which shares the same writer as Pickle Rick, Kendall and Logan team up with recurring SpongeBob live-action host, Patchy the Pirate, to search for his family's lost treasure. As you would imagine, hijinks ensue.
Oh, I'm getting something. Yes, I'm getting something!
He got it!
Patchy's role could have easily been filled by someone else, but he fits right into this campy and overacted world. It's good to see him on his own adventure that isn't tied to his absorbent idol, but his storyline in the episode gets as much screen time as Russell Brand does. You can tell when this was produced, because it was during the only year where everyone thought that Russell Brand was actually cool. Here, he hires a 10-year-old to be his agent, so that explains how he ended up in Hob. Let's say I want to find out when new episodes of my favorite cartoons premiere. In America, I could painfully analyze DVR descriptions, scroll through a network's social media feed and ignore 95% of their attempts at appealing to my demographic, or scream at my friends on Discord. But in Japan, I can watch the soccer/football/sport I only played for the Dunkaroos served after games related show, Inazuma 11, crossover with the characters from Despicable Me. A set of ads were made to promote the Japanese home media release of the movie, and the anime changing to another time slot. They could have easily just shown clips or displayed a special graphic, but they went all out and created brand spanking new animation, which even included the series that was replacing Inazuma 11's time. It's only a minute long, but in that time we see Gru show up and hurl vectors straight to the heavens. It's further confirmation that Gru could beat me up, but it also begs the question of why Gru didn't help the other characters lift the clearly heavy boxes. Just like his sequel films, it looks like Gru found a way to be terrible without even trying. OKKO had crossovers built into its DNA. It used them as an opportunity to resurrect obscure characters or give them another shot in animation. You might think this would stunt the sense of world building, but there is a case where it was done so naturally I didn't even notice it at first. After being mentioned once in an early episode, Season 2's GarQuest introduces the President of the Universe.
Oh yeah, crack-a-lackin'.
The jive-talking Guardian with an occupation that explains itself. He doesn't seem misplaced considering the disco and funk motif that covers the show, which makes it even more surprising when I found out that he made his first appearance in an episode of Cartoon Network's short-lived Secret Mountain Fort Awesome. He's a gag character who crashes a party when it gets out of hand, kind of similarly to Party God from Adventure Time, besides the part where he's later revealed to be an abusive boyfriend.
Sweet abs.
OKKO's creator, Ian Jones-Quartey, was a board artist on SMFA, and he worked on an unproduced episode that featured the mysterious president. Ginger was another minor character that made the jump from a story where she taught the Disgustoids how to lie, although she was never able to make an appearance in Secret Mountain Fort Awesome. I don't see this as a case of recycling ideas, but instead giving them a chance to reach their full potential. Why put a good idea to waste? Anyway, I hope Ian keeps up this trend and puts fan-favorite characters like Gex's distant cousin in his next project.
Don't disappoint me now.
Fun fact, animation takes an excruciatingly long time. If you're just a viewer, that can be easy to forget when you see 2 episodes that tackle suspiciously similar themes and premises released just 1 month apart. Both Brick Like Me from The Simpsons and G.I. Jeff from Community are about adults indulging the fantasies attached to their childhood toys to ignore the inevitability of growing up. The episodes differ with how the toy properties adapt to each show. Lego is brought to The Simpsons, so the humor has sillier slapstick and lots of brick-based building gags.
You are going to rebuild every brick of this school.
This says ages 12 and up.
Age guidelines are conservative, and everyone knows it.
On the other plastic molded hand, Community is brought to G.I. Joe, so the eccentric characters become stereotypical heroes and villains surrounded by dark meta humor.
We are in a toy commercial. I can't hear you when you're covered in rocks. It doesn't hurt because it isn't real.
While the animated episodes of Community were always few and far between, and it contains an important character moment beyond the intentionally stilted animation, I surprisingly got more out of the Simpsons episode from season 25. The visuals are more ambitious, it takes advantage of the accessibility and durability of its toy, and having more respect for the Lego brand made the message feel more sincere. You just have to get over how the characters are permanently front-facing and that it retreads elements of the Lego movie, which coincidentally came out 2 months before. Sometimes The Simpsons accidentally predicts the past too.
Oh, I had this crazy dream where I was in a world made of Lego bricks and learned important lessons about parenting.
Isn't that kind of the plot of...
No, it's not. It's a new plot.
The first time I remember being intrigued by a crossover was seeing a DVD for Scooby-Doo meets Batman in a supermarket while my grandparents were stocking up on Diet Root Beer. Both franchises have had their fair share of odd mashups, but this combination of animal-themed detectives have been the most enduring. For this spot, I'm highlighting the time Scooby-Doo appeared on Batman the Brave and the Bold. Not the direct-to-video movie, but instead the Season 2 episode, Batman's Strangest Cases. It's like a Batman-style Treehouse of Horror anthology, with each segment paying tribute to an obscure adaptation of the Caped Crusader. The final and longest segment is framed as an episode of the new Scooby-Doo movies. The animation style, soundtrack, and voice acting are all spot on, but it also includes a mock safety PSA, an appearance by Weird Al, and interruptions from Bat-Mite, who is the worst kind of person you could meet at a Comic-Con Q&A.
Joke. You see this? Someone mispainted Batman's neck. I hate that.
Boy, I really hope somebody got fired for that blunder.
There's been better official parodies of both franchises, but I love how something this specific and absurd ended up in a Batman cartoon. In a way, you could consider this the pilot to Scooby-Doo and Guess Who, which riffs on the same concept and art style with a similar tongue-in-cheek tone. It also features Weird Al, because of course it does. Weird Al is in everything, including this video.
Hi, it's me, Weird Al.
During commercial breaks in the early 2000s, Cartoon Network often played Groovies, music videos for songs based on their shows that experimented with different animation studios and art styles. Even if they haven't been preserved in the best quality, they're still bangers after all these years. But there's one music video themed around the Powerpuff Girls I hadn't heard of until recently. Angels with Dirty Faces by the Sugababes. The track officially dropped in November 2002, so it's in the time frame to be considered a groovie, but it's a different type of collaboration. This R&B song is about teenage girls with a secret dark side that critics praise for its sweet garage sexiness. So clearly it was meant to be paired up with a show where kindergartners occasionally fight the devil. The visuals are also recycled from Nano of the North, with these Bratz rejects plastered over the Powerpuffs. The episode they chose was already very odd and high concept to begin with, so condensing it into nearly 4 minutes without dialogue makes the music video even more incomprehensible than the episode sometimes is. If you lived in the UK, then you're probably more familiar with this song than I am. As the album Angels with Dirty Faces went triple platinum, it was an extra in the game Relish Rampage, and posters featuring it were handed out to promote the Powerpuff Girls movie in British theaters. To this day, the PPGs have continued to have a long line of strange brand tie-ins, but this is one of the few that was animated, and now I see why. You would figure that with the multitude of properties Disney has under their belt, they would overlap more often in more than just merchandise. But I get why there hasn't been much mainstream crossover content since Disney Infinity, because the Mouse House has already given us the best possible combination. The cast of Jessie in the Ultimate Spider-Man episode, Halloween Night at the Museum. Jessie was your typical Disney Channel sitcom about a nanny that babysits a bunch of brats in a penthouse. Basically just Mary Poppins with less whimsy and more child actors from the Diary of a Wimpy Kid films. It wasn't quite down to earth, but when these kids find their way into a museum brought to life, they're just along for the ride.
Did you just slime me?
Oh, no, he didn't.
Their Halloween is ruined solely because they happen to be a part of the Marvel Universe. No wonder they look so angry to be here. Besides a quick set piece with their pet lizard and Jessie suddenly turning into Wonder Woman, this is just another bland episode of Ultimate Spider-Man. Because it never opens itself up to the worlds of either show, the amazingly dumb premise is never justified. They didn't even feature the classic character of Bertram. What, was the actor too busy with his shockingly successful Broadway career? Imagine all the cringeworthy jokes about his weight that we missed out on! 2008 marked the final voyage of the Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends float in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. A cool idea with a semi-creepy execution, where puppeted versions of the cast would perform classic pop songs. That year they performed Best Friend, but suddenly it was interrupted.
People, let me tell you about him, he's so much fun. Whether we're...
That's right, Rick Astley and Foster's Home were together at last. Now, the Rickroll probably doesn't require an explanation. Even I'm guilty of having done it. But this was the first time Rickolas Astley himself had acknowledged the meme publicly. For years, it's been referenced to death in animation, among so much else, making it much more mainstream than it was 12 years ago. But it's so strange that a turning point in its lifespan was with this show. Foster's Home had a few episodes about viral videos, but all pop culture references were always brief and never this distracting. Even the songs performed on the float in previous years weren't topical. They were Beatles and Queen songs, and they fit the 70s vibe of the cartoon. People went on and on about the Powerpuff Girls reboot having too many meme references. But trust me, they've been doing this for years, especially in their marketing. Reflecting on this experience last year, Astley said, "I got paid a bunch of money to do it. Words to live by."
I like Rickrolling!
Restrictions from Fox might have butchered and babyfied a lot of imported media from the now-defunct dubbing and distribution company 4Kids Entertainment, but their presentation was always ambitious. To promote their fall 2003 lineup, the network aired a new primetime special called The Fight for the Fox Box, and it was also released through a DVD sampler. It showcased clips from upcoming series and seasons of TMNT, Ultimate Muscle, Kirby Right Back At Ya, Cubix, Sonic X, Funky Cops, Shaman King, and the Cramp Twins. Tying it all together was a storyline created with recycled footage and new voiceover, where a mysterious new foe has stolen the Fox Box broadcasting codes and shares them with villains from 5 of the featured shows.
Guys, this is bad. The whole Fox Box network is offline.
It's up to the viewer to gather the codes scattered throughout plot recaps, redubbed episode segments, and glorified trailers to save the day by logging the codes into the official website. You received nothing for doing this. Before it became easy to drop a load of promotional clips online, this was a shameless but creative way to hype up a television block, even if they clearly had no idea how to integrate some of the programming into this loose plot.
If we can take over the Fox Box, that means we can stop the Funky Cops. And if we stop the Funky Cops, that means we can stop disco from making a comeback. I hate disco.
Not to mention the dated charm of seeing iconic video game and cartoon characters talk about how excited they are for the other shows.
Shaman King?
You gotta see this, Leo. It's awesome. Mikey, run the Shaman King promo we taped.
It's great to see all these different anime and original content in one place, but it's too bad that said content was often mangled and couldn't be more universally acceptable. Just like it is with today's sponsor, Crunchyroll. Crunchyroll Premium has the largest selection of anime from around the entire world, both old and new, all ad-free in HD. Brand spanking new episodes are conveniently available just 1 hour after they air in Japan, and it can also be accessed across all devices, from the Roku to the Wii U, just to name a few. Since this video is about bridging the gap between different ideas and styles, I wanted to highlight a Crunchyroll original coming later this year, Onyx Equinox. From the trailer, it looks like a Mayan and Aztec-inspired version of Avatar: The Last Airbender, one that you can enjoy for both its action and specific cultural references, and that's why I'm excited to check it out. It's one of many titles that are offered, so no matter what kind of anime you're into, Crunchyroll has you covered. To get a 14-day free trial of Crunchyroll Premium, go to crunchyroll.com/NICKtendo or click the link in the description. That's crunchyroll.com/NICKtendo. Let me know down in the comments what anime you're looking forward to, or personally recommend, especially if they've had an interesting crossover. Now on to the final entry of this list. Fresh off of the first two Shrek movies, DreamWorks Animation's influence in the industry reached new heights. If only the same could be said about their box office earnings. Around this time, they tried their hand at making a fully computer-animated adult series for NBC. Father of the Pride was about personified versions of the lions in Siegfried and Roy's Las Vegas live show, and was backed by lots of advertising and an all-star voice cast. The latter included Eddie Murphy reprising his role as Donkey, more specifically an arrogant movie star that plays a character of the same name.
But let your kid know that Shrek 3 is coming out in 2006. Hey now.
Shrek was never a franchise that shied away from adult jokes and references. The moment you can be considered a legal adult is when you understand all the jokes about Lord Farquaad having a small pee-pee. However, Father of the Pride's humor is a little raunchy. It's covered in some raunch dressing, and Donkey just feels completely out of place in a world with dead-eyed humans and jokes about strip clubs.
We should take the word God out of the Pledge of Allegiance.
My God, right or wrong, love it or leave it. Donkey.
This was one of the most expensive network sitcoms when it premiered, and coupled with a poorly timed accident with Siegfried and Roy's act, and the show failing to captivate its target audience, Father of the Pride was canceled after only one season. Today, this unfitting appearance by Donkey is its most relevant aspect. But if you've watched any video on this channel for the past 3 years, you're probably curious about a different Shrek-related crossover. Numerous times, I've been asked what's up with the Shrek 2 NASCAR figure in the background of your videos. Years ago, I found it in the back of a comic book store for 20 bucks and never looked back. Shrek was officially featured on the paint jobs of a few NASCAR racers. They were driven by Bobby Labonte and Tony Stewart, who then appeared in a set of figures, bringing the entire promotion together. These sets were produced by McFarlane Toys, the Spawn guy, not the Family Guy, who had produced merchandise for both franchises. The NASCAR figures were repackaged, and the Shrek figures were repainted, but they were both given brand new stands. Although both have an equal amount of detail, these two properties obviously don't belong together. But that's the magic of crossovers. Some may be terrible ideas, but the dedication to said ideas always comes through. And if someone is selling their Donkey and Tony Stewart 2-pack in mint condition, please meet me in the back of the nearest combination Pizza Hut and Taco Bell restaurant to negotiate a deal.
I'm Weird Al, and I thank you for watching this video. Alright, hey NICKtendo, it is currently 6:10 a.m. and I'll be playing the part of Weird Al, except it's in my own voice and it's very monotone. Thank you for choosing me to do this part, I'm flattered.